Billions of people just living out their lives.
If only I had Doraemon's time machine, I would have gone on to see if all those soothsayers were really truly good at predicting the future. Or have we all been just waiting for something to happen because someone couldn't stop yapping about the future?
Quantum computing is still in its infancy, but is set to one day revolutionize scientific research.
But since there's no time machine, all I can do is wait, because apparently some very important prophecies are going to be fulfilled in the near future.
What would happen if the world comes face to face with an even deadlier strain of an unknown virus? Well, there could be many such viruses hidden deep within the permafrost.
From war to the death of some important people, I have collected some prophecies that are about to be fulfilled. Let's get started. A war involving China. The French astronomer and famous seer Nostradamus made several predictions, and honestly, some of them actually came true, which is why everyone wonders if the rest of his predictions will also become reality. One such prediction was about combat and naval battle. He stated that red adversary will become pale with fear, putting the great ocean in dread. Many believe that he was referring to China when he said red adversary. But is that really the case? Will there really be a war involving China? If so, will that happen in 2024? Well, let's have a look at some recent news to understand that.
祖国统一是历史必然，两岸同胞要携手同心，共享民族复兴的伟大荣光。
At the moment, China and the US don't really have great political relations, and it's been said for quite a while that China has been preparing for a war. China has been trying to make Taiwan a part of the country, and they might even use military force if it means to get control over the country. In fact, China is even building artificial islands merely for military purposes. And these islands actually explain why the red adversary with the great ocean in dread. Makes sense, right? But if it ever uses military force against Taiwan, the country will ultimately go to war against the US. And that, my friend, is a whole nuclear war, because both China and the US are nuclear powers and spend most of their revenue on weapons. To top that off, if the war happens at this point in time, when there are already two other ongoing wars, the world might witness the Third World War happening. Increase in cyber attacks.
Two more Bay Area cities are falling victim to another round of cyber attacks. The police department says the incident directly hit the city's computer infrastructure.
Now, that was from Nostradamus. But have you heard of Baba Vanga? She was also a seer who made several predictions. And yes, her predictions, most of them, turned out to be right. She knew how crazy technology will be in future and said that there will be attacks on infrastructure like water treatment plants and power grids. Essentially, she was talking about hackers hacking into literally anything they wanted. Now, if I tell you about the stats, 2023 alone witnessed over 5,200 cases of ransomware cases. According to the reports, 2023 witnessed a 68% increase in these attacks, and the demands for money in these cases were also pretty high. For example, the Lockbit gang asked for a whopping $80 million in one of the cases. So do you think these attacks will be reduced in the future? I don't think so. With advanced technology come advanced risks, and in the future, we'll definitely see a significant increase in cyber attacks. My lady saw it coming, and we have to give her points for that. Earth orbit will see changes. Baba Vanga also made some predictions involving the changes in the solar system. Well, it's safe to say that his psychic radar didn't know boundaries and even got news of the space. Apparently, she predicted a massive change in the orbit of the Earth. The orbits, as we all are determined by the gravitational forces, and yes, they can change too. But these changes are never too often and only happen in a gradual way, taking a long time. I wonder if she was referring to the gradual changes or if there will be some sudden change that will shake the heck out of us humans. Some reports do suggest that in a few years, we'll start experiencing dramatic changes in the climate due to a high ubiquity. But apart from that, I guess we'll have to wait to truly know what she meant from that. bioweapon warfare. According to Vanga, the big country will use bioweapons for testing as well as attacking their enemies. Now, I am not sure which country exactly she was talking about, but several big countries, including Russia, China, the UK, and the US, are already working on bioweapons. In fact, 5 countries are actually very well prepared for biological warfare at the moment. It's being said that the US, Russia, China, Iran, and Great Britain are already knee-deep into this whole thing that Baba Vanga had predicted. It is even being said that the world might see a point where human-made viruses will be introduced as a form of warfare. But are we really ready for this? Or will this mark the end of humanity? Let's wait and see what happens and which big country Vanga was really talking about. Prince Harry, the next king. Now let's talk about another prediction from Nostradamus that is related to the royals. But before I tell you all about it, know that he was actually very much right about Queen Elizabeth II's death too. So it turns out that one of the passages in his book, The Prophecies, states that a king of the Isles will be driven out by force and will be replaced by one who will have no mark of a king. It is believed that the king in question was King Charles III. Now, looking at the current situation, King Charles is sick as he's suffering from cancer. Many believe that he might step down soon because of his health. It hasn't happened yet, but we all know that it will happen sooner or later. Now the question is, who could be the one with no mark of a king to replace him? Prince William is the one next in line, and if he's not to be the king, then his sons come next. That leaves Prince Harry as the one with no mark of a king. But here's the thing, Prince Harry has shown little to no interest in being the king, nor does he stand in line as the future king. Then how will this ever happen?
In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present.
With Kate Middleton's cancer announcement, though, many speculate that things will not work out for Prince William to be able to become the King of England, and the throne will go to Prince Harry instead. Technology will take over.
Nobody knows what quantum computing really means, but it is going to change us.
Baba Vanga foresaw the future of technology. No wonder she was able to tell about the cyber attacks back then, when this wasn't even that popular of a thing. But there's something more she predicted. According to her, computers will take over everything. Currently, the world is going through a phase of AI revolution, and people have been worried about AI like ChatGPT and Bard stealing their jobs. But AI isn't the only thing that's changing the world of technology at the moment. A less discussed fact is that quantum computing is also progressing at a very high speed. As it's being said, these quantum computers are not like the ordinary ones. Instead, they used qubits instead of bits and are far more intelligent and faster than traditional computers. The whole thing in itself was unimaginable before tech masterminds actually started working on it. As of now, it's still uncertain how long it will take to create a perfect quantum computer, but the possibility is there. This makes it even more amazing to think that Baba Vanga actually foresaw a breakthrough in this field at that time. The end for Putin? Baba Vanga had quite a lot to say about Putin. She had predicted that the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, would be assassinated by a fellow countryman. Now, just so you know, Putin has survived 6 assassination attempts so far, and the most recent one happened in May of 2023. There was a drone attack on the Kremlin where Putin was supposed to be at that time. However, at the time of the attack, he wasn't there and was actually at his Novo-Ogaryovo residence outside Moscow. The Russian government blamed Ukraine for this attack and promised retaliation as well. However, the Ukrainian government denied all allegations. Now, according to the prediction, the assassination is supposed to happen in 2024. We're already 3 months into 2024, and the conditions aren't very good regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. Given that, one could assume that someone might take advantage of these conditions and do the deed. But then again, Vanga could be wrong about this one because not all her prophecies were right. A new pope.
In a very unusual move, Pope Francis skipped reading his homily while presiding over Mass in St. Peter's Square this morning.
Nostradamus was all about dethroning people and predicting their deaths too. Maybe he liked that niche more than anything. But well, one of his prophecies states that Pope Francis will be replaced. The reason? His death. Death is inevitable, and the Pope is super old too. So that part could become a reality at any time. But it's the rest of the prophecy that makes it a bit confusing. He stated, "Through the death of a very old pontiff, a Roman of good age will be elected. Of him it will be said that he weakens his see, but long will he sit and in biting activity." Nostradamus said that someone of good age would replace the old pontiff. But here's the issue. Everyone who could possibly become the next pope after Pope Francis is of old age. No young man is in line for the position. At the moment, Pope Francis is struggling with several health issues, and the race to replace him has already started too. Some people think that the conservatives might replace the Pope, and the man of good age that Nostradamus talked about would be someone from the conservatives. But for now, if the Pope passes away, the cardinals will gather in Vatican City to cast their vote for the next Pope. The main candidates who stand a chance as the new Pope include Mario Grech, Peter Erdo, Christoph Schonborn, Pietro Parolin, and Matteo Zuppi. But mind you, none of these people are of good age. Medicine will develop. Another prediction coming from Baba Vanga states that medicines for incurable diseases like Alzheimer's and cancer will be developed. And this prediction is also in the process of proving Vanga true. Let me explain. So just recently, Putin announced that the country is working on creating cancer vaccines, and soon they'll have permanent treatment for the disease. He didn't really say which type of cancer will be treated using the vaccines, but if doctors are really successful in making a vaccine that prevents any kind of cancer, it'll surely be a breakthrough in the world of medicine. But Russia isn't the only country working on such vaccines. In fact, the UK has also been doing this work for quite a while. Last year, the UK government even signed an agreement with BioNTech, a Germany-based company, to launch clinical trials of personalized cancer treatments. Their goal is to treat up to 10,000 patients by 2030. Apart from cancer, many are also working on creating a vaccine for Alzheimer's disease. Right now, the medicines we have for Alzheimer's can only help with a few symptoms and can't really be fully treated. But if scientists somehow manage to create a vaccine for this disease, it'll be something that'll change the life of many. As of now, it's been said that clinical trials are being held to test the durability of a possible vaccine. Solar tsunami. Well, this one's a bit too terrifying, and I am hoping Vanga was wrong about it. The seer predicted solar storms that will hit the Earth in 2024. And guess what? NASA had stated that a solar tsunami would happen somewhere in 2025, but now they are saying that the sun will reach the peak of the process in 2024. Now the question is, how dangerous is a solar storm for the Earth? Well, if Earth ends up in the path of the solar tsunami, the charged particles will slam into the atmosphere. That would affect not only the satellites in orbit, but also the power grids on Earth. The satellites might fail to function after this, and radio signals will not be usable anymore. We might lose the internet and electricity for an undetermined time period. It's being said that it could take months and even years to recover from the damage, and the Earth will go dark for a good while. Back to the medieval ages, I guess. The last time a solar storm hit the Earth was in 1989. It caused a major power failure in Quebec and several other parts of the northeastern US. 6 million people were left with no electricity for over 9 hours. According to the reports, a big event will only result in a current surge of about 10 volts per kilometer. This will produce currents flowing in electricity networks. Scientists are saying that people can randomly get electrocuted. But that's not all that'll happen. This solar storm will cause a major economic shock to the entire world as well. It'll not only take a lot of time, but also a ton of money to get back to where we are right now. Some researchers even think that it might cause tsunamis on Earth as well. Scientists are hoping that the Earth will miss this storm, but still, nothing can be said for sure. Famine.
Mali is in the midst of a severe food and nutrition crisis. The rains failed last year, and rice fields have now turned to dust.
Nostradamus, through his prophecy, warned the world about a very great famine through the pestiferous wave. All of that is already going on. He predicted a famine, right? Well, it's already here. Northeastern Nigeria, Somalia, Yemen, and South Sudan have over 30 million people severely malnourished and without proper food, while 10 million people are living in famine conditions. Just like that, Haiti and Myanmar are also witnessing famine-like conditions. Not just that, well over 129,000 people will experience a famine in Burkina Faso, South Sudan, Somalia, and Mali. Due to massive funding gaps, there's a big chance that the progress that has already been made will be lost too. Food insecurity is at its peak as we speak right now, as a total of 48 countries with 238 million people are facing a shortage of food. The problem is that no one is doing anything to stop this from happening, and this famine will only spread through the world in the coming years. Severe weather conditions. Nostradamus also predicted the worsening conditions of the climate in the future, and we all know that it is happening at a speed that should worry us. According to the reports, 2024 actually started with a dramatic weather condition, as January was recorded to be the warmest it has ever been all around the world. The prophecy states, the dry earth will grow more parched, and there will be great floods when it is seen. The world is witnessing floods, pollution levels never imagined before, ruined agricultural lands, and whatnot. He also wrote in his book, like the sun, the head shall sear the shining sea. The Black Sea's living fish shall all but boil. When roads in Genoa half-starved shall be, the local folk to cut them up shall toil. Well, with the continuously rising global temperatures, I believe the time is near when the fish might actually start boiling in the water. The question is, the climate conditions during the time when Nostradamus was alive were pretty much at their 100%. Then how come did he think that the condition would get so bad? Was it really some divine intervention, or did he just know that humans being dumb will somehow manage to ruin the Earth's atmosphere? Designer babies. Baba Vanga, being a science lover she was, also predicted that children would be born outside of the mother's womb, and the parents would be able to choose their color and other characteristics. Practically, she was talking about customizable children. I'm not sure about the customizing part, but babies are now really being grown outside of the womb. Not the whole baby to be real, but the embryo itself, so that it can be planted back in the mother's body for a normal process going forward. The concept she talked about is now known as designer babies. And yes, scientists have been working on making it possible. Another book from 1932 titled Brave New World talks about this concept, and it feels like these people from the 1900s were just obsessed with having the perfect children. You have to think that way to come up with an idea like that. Anyways, as of 2024, the studies are in process. The only thing scientists have been able to do was growing the eggs to a certain level after being removed from the mother's body. A 34-year-old French woman who had to go through chemo had her eggs frozen through a process called IVM. Just so you know, there have been no successful cases of anyone falling pregnant after having their eggs frozen via IVM. However, this was an exceptional case, as the doctor grew the immature eggs using hormones. So they didn't just freeze the immature eggs, but grew them outside of the woman's body and placed them back in to be able to get her pregnant. And well, it worked. So it's safe to say that Vanga might be right about it, but it will take longer than she thought for humans to reach that level. Another world war.
Israel's military carried out new airstrikes in Gaza and laid siege to 2 hospitals on the enclave.
Yeah, I mentioned it before too, but Nostradamus actually predicted a world war separately as well. The process has probably already started. Russia and Ukraine have been at war for quite a while now. There's a whole war going on in the Middle East as Israel continues to bomb the Gaza Strip. And just so you know, Nostradamus had predicted a regional war as well, which everyone believes to be the one going on between Palestine and Israel. Apart from this, the US has been actively involved in both these wars, which makes it even more possible that the world might witness a third world war very soon. The prophecies also speak of a war involving Iran. In fact, they talk about Qamar, a name that was used for the Iranian side of the Strait of Hormuz during the 16th century. Then there's a Cold War, which can start anytime between China and the US. So, I don't really see any place in the world where something like a war isn't going on. That makes me wonder if we are already at the starting point of World War III. I hope not, but from the looks of it, things don't really seem to be going in a good direction. Ancient virus rising from the dead. Humans really love digging up problems for themselves and causing others around them to suffer along too. Guess Nostradamus understood the human psyche and made a prediction that would go on to prove what he said. In his book, there's a mention of a virus that had vanished from the face of the earth. He says that this virus will reappear and will cause a disaster not known to humans. The disease will slowly seep into the waters of the ocean, and it'll cause the death of thousands of people. Yeah, I know you must be thinking it was probably COVID that he was talking about, but no, that's not the case. COVID wasn't an ancient virus, and the timeline doesn't match either. It's a new one, and we humans are definitely not ready for it. Now let me give you another shocker. Scientists have actually discovered an ancient virus just recently, and it's said to be over 40,000 years old. To top that off, as he had said that the virus will melt away in the ocean as the glaciers melt, this ancient virus was also discovered in a frozen form from the Siberian permafrost. But that's not even the worst part. Along with this, permafrost is melting and the viruses inside it will be out too. So, it's safe to say that this might leave the world in another epidemic. But are we really ready for it? Especially after how COVID caused so much disaster? And these were some of the prophecies that were about to be fulfilled. What do you think about them? Do you think any of them are actually true? Let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons. I'll be back with more amazing videos soon. See you in the next one. Goodbye.